the thrill of unrivaled performance. Our team of experts takes your ride to the next level. From horsepower gains to custom enhancements, we deliver results. Late model Racecraft. We talking or we racing?
Welcome back to the channel, guys. I know you see us build a lot of Corvettes and Camaros almost on the daily. We're in Texas. Trucks are very big here in Texas. So we all see a lot of the TRXs we build, some Chevys, some Fords. I'm curious, those of you at home that have trucks, would y'all like to add more horsepower to them if you could? And if you could, how far would you like to go with it? There are several ways to go about this. Standing behind me is Mr. Knowles' 2023 GMC Denali. It is a beautiful truck. It drives comfortable. It's perfect for a daily driver, but who says that you can't have a nice truck and haul ass at the same time? So Mr. Knowles sent this to us all the way from Virginia. Let me pop the hood and show you what we did to it. All right, guys, so like I said, trucks are really big in Texas. And for me, for a daily driver, this is absolutely perfect. You have the comfort of the Denali, which is like a step up from just your regular Chevrolet Silverado as far as the interior goes. So the ride, the comfort level is there. Also, obviously having a bed, so like with my family, I can throw a whole bunch of shit in the back, maybe some motorcycles, some go-karts to go have fun. Mr. Knowles, he's all the way from Virginia. He does plan on using this thing as a daily vehicle, but he's a gearhead like us and doesn't want it to be stock, going from stoplight to stoplight. So he sent it to us for a full, absolutely full build. So at first he was talking about, you know, just having a supercharger on it, let it make a little bit of boost and see what we can come up with. And then after we talked to him more and more about the horsepower numbers and horsepower goals, we settled on literally pulling the whole engine out of this thing, because it is essentially like an LT1 engine. So the factory pistons in these things aren't forged like an LT4. So we pulled the whole engine out. We did a 377 cubic inch engine. So forged rod, forged piston, stock crank, stock block. As always, we put an aftermarket camshaft in it. Again, because it's a truck, we did go with a large camshaft, but I want it to drive nice. This is something that's gonna be driven daily, just like I talk about in our Escalade Vs and Escalade and Cadillacs, even like the Blackwings that we do. Comfortable vehicles, I don't like them rocking like crazy side to side unless the customer asks for it. So this car does have a large camshaft in it, but after we get done tuning it, I tune it so it will try to idle as smooth as possible by just barely hearing the camshaft out the back. So supercharger, Magnuson 2650, just like we do in the Corvettes. We have a 377 cubic inch engine, just forged internals to hold the boost that we're giving it. And then for fuel system, obviously, because we're now making double the horsepower that came from the factory, we have to upgrade fuel system components as well. So fuel pumps in the tank that feed the mechanical fuel pump and the DI injectors, all have been upgraded. And because Mr. Knowles does plan on actually using this horsepower, he's not a kind of guy that's just gonna floor it once every month or two. He's gonna probably floor it 3 or 4 times a day. We went ahead and upgraded the drivetrain. So we did a fully built transmission in it, as well as the drive shaft. And what you'll see when I go out and test drive this thing, guys, in 2-wheel drive, this thing will just white smoke the tires 1st through 3rd gear. And if this thing wheel hops quite a bit, you can have issues with it breaking breaking the rear end like an axle or like a drive shaft. So we went ahead and upgraded the drive shaft as well. Because if, for instance, you're gonna see me probably have fun in 2-wheel drive, and then this thing, we can set it in 4-wheel high, where it will still spin these street tires, but then kind of hook and go. If he goes to a track to run it, I want to make sure that the transmission and the drive shaft, we're not going to break on them. So we pretty much did everything we can to keep this thing reliable while making over 700 rear wheel horsepower on pump gas. So I think we stopped at around 703, 704 rear wheel horsepower, and the boost level, I'm going to say it's between 9 and 10 pounds of boost. That's where I feel safe running it on 93 octane. And I even told Mr. Knowles he can run 93 octane and beat on it and have his fun as much as he wants. But if he knows he's gonna go to the track, or he knows he's gonna go race against some of his buddies, I told him, just for safety, put a fuel additive in it. Just because it's a heavy vehicle, they put a big load under these things. it's hard on engine parts. So just for safety precaution, in case he gets bad gas, put a fuel additive in it only when he's going to go race the hell out of it. But all in all, looking at it from the outside, it looks like a bone stock truck. And then when I start this thing up, you'll hear it with the long tube headers on it. And we even kept the mufflers really quiet because he didn't want it to be a loud, obnoxious thing that everyone heard. He wanted to almost be like a little sleeper truck that someone pulls up next to him and he can just walk away from them. Mainly, he wanted us to beat TRXs and a couple of his other, I'll call it exotic friends that he has that live in his neighborhood that have like Lamborghinis and stuff. He wants to try to outrun them. So I think he's gonna do quite well. And if he can, I'm gonna tell him to get some footage of it if he does get some of those races. But I'm gonna hop in it now. I'm gonna go show you guys what this thing can do on the street. Alright, so we are out in Mr. Knowles' 2023 GMC Denali. Shipped to us all the way from Virginia. And this thing is a beast for a daily driver. Truck, obviously, plenty of room, but it's a comfortable truck. These Denalis, kind of like the Escalades, they drive very nice. They're comfortable in the inside. You got the big screen on the inside compared to the older ones. Just all in all, great daily driver trucks, especially for guys that work that are in them a lot. I know Mr. Knowles plans on driving this thing a lot. So he wanted obviously more horsepower than stock. So with any heavy vehicle, when it comes to a truck or a car, guys, y'all see we always put the root style supercharger on it. So we did the Magnuson 2650 for the supercharger. And because of the horsepower he wanted, we went and did forged internals. So it's got a 377 in it, good pistons, good rods, stock crank, and then obviously our custom grind camshaft, as well as fuel system needed to support the horsepower goals for this thing on pump gas. Now, because Mr. Knowles isn't just like a weekend toy kind of guy, he's gonna drive this thing and drive it hard. We went ahead and built the transmission in it, as well as put an aftermarket drive shaft in it. I went ahead and, before I turned the cameras on, I wanted to see how it felt in two-wheel drive. And guys, this thing just lit up the tires in two-wheel drive. So for the first pull I'm gonna make, I am gonna put it in four-wheel high to launch it and see how she does. And then after that, I'll show you guys how this thing literally just will leave black marks at will anytime I want to. How sick is that? All four tires just roast the tires through first gear, grab second gear, and then it finally hooked up and went. I'm gonna pull over and save that log. That was four-wheel high, traction control off, and like I said, that thing's fun as shit. So y'all saw what it did in four-wheel drive. Again, on the way over here, I made a couple little test pulls from a roll in second gear, and it just lit the tires up. So let me pull over. I'm gonna look at this log, share some data and information with you guys about how much horsepower it's making, and then we might do that one more time, or I'll show you how crazy it is in two-wheel drive. But again, this is a perfect daily driver in my opinion, on pump gas, made right over 700 rear wheel horsepower, depending on the heat obviously, and depending on what fuel he's gonna run. You know, 650 to 700 rear wheel horsepower is where I'd want to keep a truck like this that's going to be daily driven, that races a lot. If he wanted more, that's when I'd recommend us doing like port injection or more fuel system stuff to be able to run like an E85 to get there safely. These heavy trucks, let me put it back in two-wheel. It's hard to turn these things in four-wheel drive. Heavy vehicles, I mean, they put such a load under these engines. It's really hard. They're really hard on parts. So if we have pump gas in them, I don't like running the boost too much. For, again, in this case, I think it's between 8 and 9 pounds of boost. Has a small camshaft in it. Y'all can see it stop. Like, I can kind of see the water bottle shaking a little bit, but nothing too crazy. It's, again, very smooth, even though it does have a pretty large camshaft in it. But from the outside, you don't hear it camming like crazy. It's a pretty smooth idle when it comes to when we get to tuning it, just because I want, again, just like the Cadillacs and the Escalades we build, a nice Denali truck that you're driving every day. Again, I can make it rock like crazy at a stop, but in my opinion, nice smooth vehicle that drives like stock and then just has that extra horsepower when you want it, which in this case, I said we pushed this one over 700 rear wheel horsepower. You're talking that's 300, 400 rear wheel horsepower. Yeah, we doubled the horsepower over stock, which is crazy. But let me look at this log and we'll go more into detail about it, and then I can show y'all how crazy this thing will go in two-wheel drive. Alright guys, so y'all saw how bad that thing just spun in first gear. That was all-wheel drive, traction control off. It's only went a 191 60 foot, went a 7.8 at 92 in the 8th mile, quarter mile was at 12.0 at 115, almost 116 miles an hour. So if a little bit better traction, it'll be 11-second truck all day long. And looking at the log, it literally just blew the tires off in first gear. So it short shifted the 1 to 2 shift with torque management coming in, and then 2, 3 and everything else out back. Again guys, we have this truck nice and safe because the customer is going to run pump gas in it. He is in Virginia, and just again, I can turn it up, put more power in it in the tune, put it more on the ragged edge, again, get it to hook up and to probably run low 11s. But in my opinion, for what he's doing with it, he just wants to have fun with it and enjoy it. Don't have to worry about something breaking on it. Again, anything can happen, especially in these heavy trucks, but I want to keep it as safe as possible. And the tune-up that's in it right now, I think we're there. To have an 11-second truck that you drive every day, stoplight to stoplight, you're going to outrun most of the cars that pull up next to you as long as it hooks up. So that's fun right there in four-wheel drive. What I'll do now, I'm going to drive, I could probably do one more, but it's getting late in the day. I'll probably start heading back to the shop, and I want to show you guys how crazy this thing is in two-wheel drive. Just if he just hops in it to drive it and someone pulls up next to him, what it can do. Then I'll also show y'all what it can do from like a low, from like a dig even, or a very low roll in two-wheel drive. But the main thing about a truck like this is street manners when it comes to me. I want these to drive like stock until you step on the throttle, and then you feel that extra horsepower and torque. And with this supercharger, we're not spinning the supercharger that hard. It still has plenty of room to go. But again, I want to keep it reliable for him and safe. And so intake air temps are good. Sorry, I'm talking as I'm driving here. I'm gonna check the go, dude. Yeah, I'm just checking air temps just sitting here. So even sitting here at a stoplight, and I was sitting in a parking lot earlier checking the log, air temps are only like 168, 169. And then as we start driving, air starts going across the heat exchanger. Obviously it'll cool back down. Even during that pull we just made, I don't think they got even above 160. I think they were like at 130, and then they got up to like 160 by the end of the pull. So again, it's a super efficient build. And again, the street manners to me is what's most important. Because it's sitting here at a stoplight. I know it has a camshaft in it, but I can't even feel that it has it in there. Your average person won't know it has a camshaft in it. Car guys, again, if you hear it from the back idling, you can tell it has a cam in it, but most people, I think you'll get away with having a pretty good sleeper here when it comes to this vehicle. We'll go to another road up here, but again, I'm just leaving it in drive right now. Let me take off from first and then show you guys what this thing does when it grabs second. So like first, second, crazy. Top of first gear, second gear, sorry, and then third, it finally hooks up and goes. And again, I'll get to another road and show you guys. The customer actually flew in town last week to go for a ride in it. Against them things, because this thing.
Holy shit! All the way through third gear. It didn't hook up to fourth gear.
I told you.
Spin on 4 tires?
Fuck yes.
Knock my glasses off my head.
Let's just say we wanted to go from a stop with 2-wheel drive. Just start up a little bit. I mean, it just blows the tires off, and it just left black marks the whole time. If I could have stayed in it, it would spin the tires first gear, spin the tires second gear, spin the tires third, and then finally in fourth it will hook up. It's crazy how bad it spins the tires. But again, I'm gonna pull over, I'm gonna check out this few logs. I've been driving it for a little bit, and then I'll get a little bit more footage heading back to the shop. Yeah, again, leaving in 2-wheel drive, obviously y'all saw how bad it spun. It will wheel hop quite a bit, which is again why we put the aftermarket drive shaft in it. And then because he does plan on racing it quite a bit, we also did the built transmission. But yeah, when he came into town, I beat on it quite a bit with him in the car. He absolutely loved it. So I'm sure Jason might show some of those action shots now or before this, not really sure. But all in all, dude, this truck turned out, in my opinion, absolutely perfect for what he's doing with the vehicle. Again, it's a brand new Denali truck. It's not like he's trying to set some world record in the quarter mile. He just wants a nice, comfortable truck that he can drive. And if someone pulls up next to him in a new Mustang, he can outrun them stoplight to stoplight, or even like a TRX truck. He wants to be able to outrun the TRXs as well. So most of the TRXs we build, don't get me wrong, we build some fast ones that go in the 11s and even high 10s. But your average TRX, this thing, again, as long as it hooks up, he's gonna outrun it and have fun doing it. So I even think he has, his neighbor has a new Lamborghini. I think he plans on lining up with when he gets back. I told him just 4-wheel drive high, maybe keep traction control on just so it will dead hook and go. And I think from 0 to 80, I think he's gonna get them. And then obviously a car versus a truck with aerodynamics and drag coefficient, the Lambo will probably drive around him. But if he does get that, if he does decide to race that guy, I'll tell him to try to get it on camera if he can, so we can share it with you guys. But all in all, another badass truck, another badass car finished up and a package finished up. We're gonna get it back to the shop. I'll get it cleaned up and then ship back all the way to Virginia for Mr. Knowles to enjoy. So again, guys, thank you for watching the channel. If y'all have any questions on this build or others, please comment below. We have a lot of C8 Corvettes that we just fired up. A Pro Charger one, twin turbo one, another twin turbo one, and then we have another Pro Charger one being built. So if you are interested in our C8 builds, there will be plenty of C8 action coming up on the channel here shortly. So comment below, guys. Until next time.